Hey there, comic friends. I'm Travis. It's the Comic Book Roundtable, and tonight with me, I actually have a bit of a table. We have Damien Sleepy Readers with us today. How's it going, sir?
Hey, very glad to be able to make it. It's always a kind of a tricky time of day.
Right. And we have Sergeant America Mike with us, who might be muted at the moment. Private Peanut is
In
throwing
cry mode.
throwing a mutiny at the moment, it sounds like. So we'll see if we have Mike here or not. And later on, I believe Sarah Smash will be joining us in a little bit. So with that in mind, we're gonna talk independent books first, because we're guessing that Sarah's probably reading more Big Two books than some of the independent stuff. So it'll probably be mostly me and Damien talking. See, so we have big stacks of indie books and not a whole lot else this week. So where do you want to start, Damien?
Well, I know you read Cemetery Beach, right?
Yes. Issue number 2.
And it's kind of more of the same, but more action-packed than the first issue. Even more action-packed.
Right.
So almost an endless chase. I guess we get a bit of a monologue from the dictator of this planet colony that we're on.
Right.
Also, so I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a thing on the back that sort of shows the schedule, and
right.
that it's a limited series. It's like 8 issues or so.
Right.
So I sort of feel like by issue 2, we're possibly getting a sense of the structure of the whole book, that it's going to be a chase through this world.
Mm-hmm.
And we're starting to learn the world is maybe made up of concentric rings of different societies, which I thought was really cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that all works out. It was kind of weird that I didn't get a sense of that in the first issue, but maybe I just missed the clues.
Yeah, well, no, I think the first issue just kind of implied that there was this place, and there was, some people who didn't like the place, that
right.
Other person that was in the interrogation room. We find out more about her, which is...
Right, she's basically an organ donor.
Right.
An involuntary organ donor for the other society or something.
Right, and they call her a murderer, and she basically tells the main character in this that I have to murder, because if I maim, all they're going to do is harvest more of my people.
Right.
So I have to destroy the person.
So anyone left alive gets the organs of someone in her society.
Right. So that's like, ooh, wow, brutal.
Yeah, that's intense.
Yeah. I was excited also about this series in general. We were talking with somebody on Twitter, Zedram, I think.
Oh yeah.
And was commenting the fact that they read the book. They were kind of just hoping, is the whole book gonna be there? And without tagging the creators in it, just mentioned who the creators were. And Jason Howard said, "This is all done. It's in the can."
Oh wow, cool.
It is complete. It's complete. So we will get all of the issues, and so I would hope that means that pretty soon they're back working on Trees, right? So we can get back to
yeah, if I can even remember what happened in Trees, but
exactly.
But it is. I mean, he's such a great artist. They're a great team, except for the problem of them not finishing that other book. So
yeah,
we're going to get a complete story out of this. If it continues as it has, it'll definitely be a trade I'll be recommending to people. And
yeah. Because it's super exciting. It's action packed. It's really, really, really dynamic.
I love some of the inventive page layouts and just the way he draws action, and the color is great. I think he must do his own color, so it looks very Jordi Belair-ish, but I think it's his own coloring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's no. It's just artists. They don't credit any colors. Yeah, I mean, so I think it is the perfect mix. It's this action kind of thing. There's while this action is going on, they're slipping in this, subtext of what this world is like and what they're trying to do. The basic premise is somewhere during World War II, one of the group of scientists figured out how to shoot rockets super fast or something along those lines, payloads to planets in the far distance, wherever, that might have inhabitable life on it. And they successfully found a place they could do that. And so a scout has been sent now from basically our reality has been sent to this place to see what's happened, what's going on.
Right. They shut themselves off from the rest of Earth, and now the rest of Earth has found out about their existence.
Right. So they have this kind of different from 1940s with a little bit of rubber science. They have evolved differently than society-wise and tech-wise than what we are. I mean, they're talking about like that first issue. He's talking about having this smartphones. And the guy's like, that's crazy. That's crazy stuff. But I mean, these guys are flying around on little rocket cars.
Right, right. They've got rocket cars.
So they have their own cool technology. But the thing is that they're these rocket cars. I love the style because they're rocket cars, but they still have a feel of the 1940s Germany-esque to them on top of it. I mean, so
yeah, there is kind of a Nazi feel to this world a bit.
Yeah.
But it's like an alternate future, but not, because it's really in our universe, just in some other planet.
Right.
So Warren Ellis is such a good science fiction writer when he lets loose, and this seems to be a really good example of that.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for this, especially now that I hear it's confirmed that it's all in the can.
Yeah. It is. They, like I said, he said it was completely done. He was not working on it anymore. It was finished. It was a finished product. So yeah, I mean, and like I said, I think it's great because it's a great. I mean, it'll be a book that, unless it ends poorly or something, I would recommend to people, just because if you like action, I mean, you can read through it and be super excited by just all the, the violence and mayhem that's going on in it. And like I said, it does a good job of having this kind of, laying down a thicker story if you want to ponder what the characters are talking about in here, and the implications of what's going on is all really interesting too.
Yeah, so it's got some intellectual layers beneath the action.
Yeah.
So actually, I would recommend people trying to jump on it if they can find it.
Right.
It's also, there's 0 ads. It's from beginning to end. It's just its own package. So it's a good thing to get in singles.
Yeah, for sure. Because the art is great. It's really exciting stuff. So yes, for sure. Let's see. I know there's some other ones that you read. Did you read this issue of Black Hammer?
I did, but I can't find my copy.
Okay. So Black Hammer, Age of Doom, issue number 6, with a guest artist on it, Rich
Tommaso.
Tommaso. And this is a Colonel Weird, right? His last name is Weird, right?
Yeah, Colonel Weird or Captain Weird, I can't remember.
It's Colonel.
It's Colonel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Colonel Weird's. It's Colonel Weird's centric story. Now I like this artist. I like a lot of his own work that he does and whatnot. I was relatively disappointed with him telling Colonel Weird's story, because anytime we've had Colonel Weird stuff up to this point, it's been very head trippy, very kind of almost verging on psychedelic. Anytime he goes into his weird zone, it's all, weird eyeballs and, and dissected, bodies and all kinds of really interesting stuff. And for me, this artist isn't weird per se.
Right. He's more, well, I mean, he's got his own style, which is very unique, but it's more, it's not, I don't want to call it cartoony, but it's almost like, I don't know. It's like some kind of retro 60s advertising art or something.
Yeah. I mean, like if he was doing the art on maybe like Abraham Slam, that would work, because I don't know, it has a noir, gumshoey. I want, for this story, I felt like even though this was relatively straightforward, I rather that they had picked some artist that was just like way out there psychedelic,
more psychedelic.
Put Ian Bertram on it.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
Did you know what I mean?
Or even their previous sub, Rubin. What was his name? I thought his last name was Rubin.
Yeah, Dave. It's David
Rubin, perhaps. And he was more psychedelic. Yeah. This is more like you're in some strange cartoon world. It's really cool.
Right.
But it is such a left turn, and perhaps not suited to this story.
Yeah.
And the story itself suspiciously feels like filler. Like a regular artist is taking a break. What can we do? But it might not be. I mean, I'm intrigued by the postmodern qualities of it.
Right.
I don't know how much to give away, but
right. Well, it's been a couple of weeks. I mean, so
true.
basically,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he's done something, and everybody's like, "Oh no, what did you do?" You know, it's like, "Well, I've set us back on course to go back into the real world." And supposedly, if they go back into the real world, the anti-god will show up, and it'll be the end of the universe. Well, it seems to be, instead of the end of the universe happening, he just got written out of the story. So he's like, he's gone to some world of characters that have been written out of the story.
Right. So for him, the story's over because he's sent off to this afterlife for characters who don't really exist anymore in the narrative, which makes, which brings the Black Hammer world up into a higher level of postmodernness than we've seen before. It was pretty postmodern before, but now it's even more so. Yeah. And
gets into the nothingness.
And also, he was the one who, because he could predict the future, was doing this to all our characters.
Exactly.
So if he was wrong, I guess it has a lot of interesting implications, unless it all turns out to be something that will be undone at the end of, say, a 3-issue arc, and then we'll be back where we started or something along those lines.
Right. And I'm not to say that I did not like this issue. I liked it. I liked the story. I'm really interested. I'm intrigued with what's going on. It just, it's just like, oh, of all the characters to have this artist write about, I don't know. Yeah. That was, but like I said, I'm intrigued.
I'd love to see Lemire and Tommaso do some other, completely unique story that just fits Tommaso's work, because I think Lemire's quirkiness goes well with him in that sense.
Right. All right. Like I said, it's. Yeah, I get what you're saying about it potentially being filler. Like, okay, we're off on this stuff. Other than we've kind of done that before, though. I mean, that's the large part of the story with Black Hammer's daughter, which I'm drawing a blank on.
We've sort of filled in back areas, but this is different because now he's off in a world that doesn't really exist in a sense.
Yeah. So,
but if it does count, though, it changes everything, particularly because of what they show on the last page. Because the whole threat was that the person on the last page is going to come back and threaten the real Earth. Right,
and instead they're here. So yeah.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens next and where this is going. I'm a little nervous about Black Hammer sort of maybe is ready to end, but they don't want to end it because it's popular and keeping it go longer than is natural. I don't know.
Well, but do you think Lemire would do that? I mean, after he pulled the plug so quickly on what was the
Royal City.
Yeah. I mean,
his sudden pulling of the plug of Royal City. That's true. He just goes where he wants to go. So he must want to continue Black Hammer for sure.
Right.
And it's very fun. I mean, I've liked most of the spin-off books, and there's another spin-off book coming up that I'm looking forward to, Cthulhuese.
Yes, right.
So
that one looks like that's just gonna be fun.
Yeah,
for sure. I don't know, Mike, are you there? I don't know if Mike's there or not.
He's just struck a pose and is sticking with it.
Well, if he shows up, because I know there's a book this week that he did read that I know I read. I don't know if you read it, but
so maybe we should postpone on that one.
Okay. So what else? What else you want to talk about?
Well, I know that you got 1975.
Yes, with a really fun wraparound cover, which I didn't realize it was wraparound cover.
Yeah, it's a very cool wraparound cover. Right. And this is, I've never heard of this artist before this comic, but this is a great artist find. Or, I don't know if he was found by, I keep thinking it's a female artist because it's a female character.
Right.
But it's a wonderful visual journey. In, I guess, this kind of imaginary 1975 when New York was gritty, and here it's extra gritty because there's all kinds of supernatural beings, and our heroine is kind of like to my mind, a cross between a badass blaxploitation movie character and Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's really fun to read. It's not very deep at all so far.
Right.
In fact, the writer almost seems superfluous to the story, except to provide the excuse for the artist to draw these cool scenes.
Right. Yeah. Because in this issue, we kind of get the backstory of why is she running around seemingly with a magic tire iron,
right?
Beating the hell out of demons. Why is that a thing? And so we get a loose explanation as to why that is happening. Why she has the powers she has. Kind of a thing. I mean, they don't give us a lot, but
right. I think she was recruited by some of these demons into their netherworld to help fight their battles. So they supposedly trained her, but they must have known she had some power or something.
Right.
And now she somehow rebelled against them, come back to our world, works as the taxi driver, and fights them at night.
Right. And her boyfriend is the kind of stereotypical 1970s
he's like a pirate radio DJ or something.
Yeah, hip. He's the hip guy that talks at night and plays the cool music, and he's like the DJ from the old Warriors movie, right?
Right.
It's kind of telling you what's going on in the neighborhood while playing the music, keeping you
right. Just
on
conveniently,
the down low.
His patter matches what the action's going on that he doesn't even know about.
Right.
And he's her lover, and I guess now going to be her motivation to fight even harder because it looks like he's been killed.
Yeah, it looks pretty much like he gets gutted and all the vinyl gets broken at the end of the issue.
I felt bad about all the broken vinyl.
Yes, but the art is just really dynamic. The coloring now that it makes it just really brilliant too. And for me right now, that's what it's largely about. It's the art. I don't know. I mean, the story's not like riveting, like you said. It's basically there just to kind of give some level of structure to the artist to move forward, kind of a thing. So I don't know. We'll see. For me, I'll see where it goes. Like I said, I'm entertained art-wise with it more so than I'm enraptured by the storytelling itself.
Yeah. In that sense, I'm kind of hoping it's a shorter run comic.
Yes. Yeah.
It's fun for 6 issues or maybe 8 issues, but after that, it really would need to develop more compelling characters and more complicated scenario than let's fight demons because they're evil.
Yeah. And I mean, I've got something else. I'm happy with the exposure to the artist Ian. What is it?
McEwen?
Okay.
Or McEwen? I don't know.
Yeah. And Brad Simpson's colors on it.
Amazing colors.
Yes. So
have you noticed his name before? I don't know if I've seen him before.
No, it doesn't ring a bell. So if nothing else, reading X number of issues of this at least exposes me to these artists, these creators that I will,
definitely look for these people in the future.
Right. Whatever might be the next thing. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah.
And another comic that comes in a nice package that does not, go for ads first.
Well, I think it's got like one ad.
It does have some ads for a Joe Casey comic.
Right. One other, which Jesus Freak actually looks like something I might try.
Well, it's purposefully done in the Paul Gulacy style. Paul Gulacy was the master of Kung Fu guy.
Right.
And they actually mentioned it in some other ad I saw for it, which I thought was kind of surprising.
Yeah.
They mentioned the actual artist they're imitating.
Right. So, that's kind of fun. I mean, the whole ad for it, he knows he's different. He just doesn't know why yet. And then his historical heroic fiction coming soon from Image Comics. Yeah. Right. So I don't know. Jesus Freak. So I don't know.
It does look fun. I'll probably get it.
Yeah.
It seems like Joe Casey likes to do just almost silly things.
Right.
And just see where they go or something. Like when he did Godland. That was also a very silly kind of book.
Right, for sure.
Which went on for a long time though.
Yeah. And he gets hooked up with some really fun artists too. I mean, he does a good job of finding people to work with that are really do some great stuff. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but that Benjamin Mara was the person who used to do the Fantagraphics mock superhero comics that they had for a while.
Okay.
He was at least a major guy. There may have been some other people involved in that, but he was one of the major ones in that project.
Oh, okay.
So he comes out of the real indie underground as opposed to Image Comics.
Right. So, Mike, you want to talk Gideon Falls?
Yes, indeed. My air raid siren of a daughter has been put off to bed, and so time to get ooey gooey, eerie, and scary without her screaming. So
I actually scooped that one up too, but have misplaced my copy. So,
right. So yeah, this was an excellent one to see a little bit more history. Well, history on the sheriff and find out like her and her brother, maybe how they're tied into it. We find out, that the bus driver maybe spanning through some of this, that, he drove them. Whenever her brother would get bullied, she would be the one to be the protector of him. So I really liked the exploration of the sister. And then, of course, we build on to the story now of Norton Sinclair and his psychiatrist, and the idea that they will recreate the Black Barn in, I don't know, modern times. I'm not.
Yeah, at least the doorway. They're at least going to attempt to make the doorway, right?
Yeah.
Is the farm town not in modern times, or are they both in modern times in different worlds?
I think they're in the. I think they're both in the same time, just in different places. One's the city,
okay. Right. But they're both called Gideon Falls.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah,
I was under the impression that the small farming village was in the past. That's why they put the population with Norton, that it was like at, 2 million or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's what made me feel like it was modern, that Gideon Falls had grown to this new level.
Okay, and I get that, but at the same time, what about the priest and all of the people make it feel like it is set anywhere really in the past? I mean, I can see it being set in the past 10, 15 or 80s, years,
maybe.
Yeah, but not like the past.
The 20s or something.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. That is one of the weird things about it, right? Is that
I'd interpret it that we near the end of the first arc that we had been revealed that there were two versions of Gideon Falls.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they exist somehow connected perhaps by the Black Barn.
Right. Okay.
I can see that.
Aren't aware of each other. And then I wondered, but there might be a time thing going on, because I wondered if her brother was Norton, the missing brother. But I don't know if that makes any sense.
But that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. That's an interesting thought about it. I mean, that's intriguing. I had not.
Do we know what age the brother was when he disappeared or got murdered?
No.
Because Norton appeared out of nowhere without any memory of his past.
Right, but I get the impression that that the brother disappeared when they were kids, and that's what informs her to become a police person to try and
right. But I think we get a flashback of Norton as a child being drawn to the.
He's out in the middle of that
junkyard
lot
where the pieces of the Black Barn are, and someone telling him he's the gateway or the doorway.
Right, that's in this.
And the sheriff says the sheriff says that her brother's name is Daniel. So I mean, unless he doesn't recall his name, they at least identify him somewhat else. And
so I'm not sure. It's just one suspicion I have.
Yeah. In the picture on the bus, I felt like he was older when you see him. I mean, there's Daniel and the sheriff on the bus. So I guess I felt that they were older than Norton when he was found.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, because here towards the beginning, he says that he came from a farm. Streets, there are no streets. I live on a farm. And the woman's a farm. What is your name? And he says Norton. I think my name is Norton Sinclair. So I don't know. I mean, but that doesn't mean that they're not the same.
Are there any other people in the farm version named Sinclair, maybe? I can't even, as this story's spooled out so slowly, I can't remember all the characters we've met.
And of course, it's always, I think always intriguing is it always starts out, Norton always seems to start out upside down. And then we get him right-sided up with him being the doorway, which the panel work is really smart. Sorrentino can be excessive at times, and I think in this book he hasn't been at all. The only time it went really nuts was when a few issues ago with the whole when they stepped through the bar and everything was crazy, which I think was just perfect.
Yeah.
But I really like this book because I'm just deeply intrigued by it. At the end of it, where the psychologist and Norton get jumped by somebody else from the hospital, and they seem to be some sort of a devious. Person. I don't know. I'm really intrigued by that too. Where that's going to go to, and that whole last page where it gets tipped sideways as Norton is falling. Yeah. I don't know. I really like that stuff. I have to ask, where is the face on this cover? I cannot see it, and it's driving me crazy. Every cover of Gideon Falls, at least the A cover, is a face of some sort. I mean, even in the back of this, it shows an ad for the next issue, and clearly, with the birds flying, you can see a profile of a face. I cannot see it. I cannot.
I wonder if this is supposed to be more like a monkey, or if it's supposed to be Norton with the mask. But I mean, the way that it.
Okay, now that you said that, I can see it. I can see it now.
All right.
So this is the mask. This is the eye.
Right. There's Norton's eye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, because it's been bugging me. I've been walking around the house, cueing my entire family. Where's the face in this? And no one can really tell me. So
the reason I especially think that is when we first were getting pictures before it was solicited, or right as it was solicited, I kept thinking it was a monkey because of that mask. And then once I saw that Norton always wears the
surgical mask,
yeah, it must be Norton with the mask.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where the book's going, but I'm intrigued. This dual story, timelines that are going on and whatnot. And
I think the toughest part with any book like this is, and I know that Damien you were at one point thinking about doing trades, weren't you?
I was going to go to trades. In fact, I dropped it from my pull list, but then I couldn't resist picking it up because I liked issue 6 so much.
And I think that's the problem, is spacing and pacing has to be so tough for these people to figure out on how do you keep people intrigued, but how do you keep it enough coming out to want them to keep picking it up in singles? And I think it's just difficult.
Do you think this other guy from the psychiatric hospital, I don't know if he's a doctor or something else, is actually some evil creature, or is that just Norton's hallucination?
But it can't just be Norton's. So you think Norton's? We're seeing this whole scene go on through Norton's eyes. So the way the doctor is, his psychologist is acting is just Norton's.
Well, no, they may think they're rescuing the psychologist from a aberrant patient, or are they, like they are in the last 2 panels, actually kind of evil?
They are actually. I don't know. I'm going with it. They're actually sinister.
Okay. But so that means that that people involved with Norton's horrific magical situation have been working at the psychiatric hospital all along. So they wanted him there.
Right.
Anyway, that's just intriguing to me. That implies a different set of story paths than I had imagined before.
Yeah, I don't know. It's about time I think I've got, I know this is where it's going to. Then there's kind of a monkey wrench gets thrown in. It makes you then kind of think maybe I don't have it completely squared away as to what I thought was, what it was going to be. So I don't know.
Lemire better not decide, I'm going to wrap this one up quickly, because there's so many mysteries here to explore.
Right. That would be bad. Yeah. Trying to see if I can get Sarah is here, but the link I sent her is not working for her. So I'm trying to figure out. And Google Plus doesn't let me just invite people into Hangouts anymore, it seems.
Yeah, they changed that.
Well, while you're working on that, Travis, I'll just talk about Farmhand then real quick. Issue number 4 continues along with the idea that the implants that they're giving these people are making them sick also. It's almost like a poison ivy kind of style poison that gets into them. You see like green growths through around their eyes. We were seeing this with mutated animals. And we see that the daughter of the guy who started this farm is to the point where she doesn't trust it enough that she, after being injured in the war, decides to get a fake plastic or metallic leg instead of getting a replacement that would function just like if it was a real leg. So it's interesting. She is evidently investigating her father's farm for the government, because they want to know how this seed is allowing all these wonderful plants to be used as replacement parts for humans. So I definitely have enjoyed this idea that there's a deeper story with this. I know we mentioned before, it looks like maybe it's going to be a 30 arc book. I definitely hope it does go that way. We've seen that he is ahead on these, so that there'll be hopefully just little blocks where we'll get pauses. The continued story of the father and son as they just continue to argue. Oh, don't even start. It's not my daughter, it's my cat, I swear. It's got an angry family here. Just in general, Farmhand has been very enjoyable. It definitely fills that need for anybody who had Chew, who enjoyed it. I definitely think that this was a good jump on book for somebody who's looking for an independent that has a little bit of craziness and definitely solid artwork. So I'm continuing to enjoy Farmhand.
Is it looking like a long-term kind of comic or a shorter one?
I think he said that he was looking at a 30 or 32 issue.
Oh, okay. So pretty long form.
You can go ahead and do that. So, and I'm guessing sales are looking that way, that they're solid enough to continue.
I just think it's interesting that it seems like that this is one of those cases where the artist potentially was the heavy lifter, even not just visually storytelling wise, but conceptually of Chew. You know, that it was less Layman and more him.
More Guillory, yeah.
It
was hard to tell because it was Guillory's first book. So seeing him. Yeah, I'm probably going to get that one in trades. That's part of why I asked how long it looks like.
It's either that or he learned a lot while doing Chew. You know, and then I mean, I think there are lots of artists who do that. You are good at the art and maybe not at the some of that stuff there. And if you get to work long enough with somebody else who knows what they're doing, then why can't you leverage that into your own whatever. I'm just impressed that a single artist can write, do their whole story and stay on in any kind of schedule.
That's big.
It's great. So,
well, and I guess because the comparison is the writers doing Leviathan. Is that correct? That you guys are reading? All right.
Yeah, I'm enjoying Leviathan, but it's not an A-level book for me or anything.
All right. And that's kind of fluffy. What I've heard from other people. Yeah.
And Leviathan seems also maybe very influenced by the art style. Maybe Layman's someone who is skilled at matching the artist with the right kind of script. It's always hard for us to tell what's really going on.
Right. Well, so I'm trying to think what I've read of Layman's that I've been super excited about outside of like Chew. Can you think of anything?
I have not read very much of Layman.
I mean,
he was on Detective Comics for a while, and he was okay, but you wouldn't exactly expect him to shine there. But
right. That's kind of what I was thinking too. That I think he is funny, but I don't know that I've read other stuff of his that's been that gripping kind of a thing. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it probably is that he needs to find the right artist, or he's, just another writer, who doesn't really stand out in the crowd.
Right. For sure. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, I don't know if you can hear me at all.
We can hear you.
Okay, cool. Probably can't see me, but it's fine.
Cannot.
You're in a very dark place.
Am I?
Grayish black on my screen.
Right. So we decided we were going to talk independent books first. So that's kind of what we're doing right now.
All right, cool. Let's see here. What you guys talked about while I was gone? The last thing I heard was the Poison Ivy thing, and then I was trying to adjust everything so I can get on.
That was I was just talking Farmhand. So.
Farmhand,
yeah, I know. I just heard the word Poison Ivy, and I was like, crap, I'm missing out on this.
No.
You know how I am.
Yeah. So. No, I don't think we talked to Poison Ivy. Did you read any independent books for the weekend?
Yes, I did. I'm pulling out my box. I'm sorry. I'm so unprepared.
Well,
Yeah,
while you're digging, I'm gonna talk New World Order, because I know that Damien's been reading New World Order.
Yes, I have.
And I've been really liking this a lot. I'm really happy that I got it and paid full price plus ridiculous shipping to get the issues that I missed when I went to
I didn't realize.
Because I missed number 1 somehow. I mean, I had it ordered, but I didn't order number 1. But and I love the art. The Trademark art is like, I don't know. It's just so awesome. It's so plain but dynamic and this kind of just really.
It has a real style to it that's really unique. I mean, I can sort of compare it to some kind of heavy metal art, but not totally.
Yeah, and Heather Moore, I think it's Heather Moore, right?
Yeah, Heather Moore, who we presume is related to him in some way.
Would be my guess. Does the colors on it, and it has just been visually just really, really cool. Really, really cool. I will say, though, this has been super exciting all along, but this issue kind of really slowed down for me. It's like, I don't know. It's like it lost its momentum for me on this issue.
It is kind of like this issue was a pause. Other than some characters getting tortured to reveal something. It was mostly the characters sitting around talking and revealing stuff, but Moore still made it look good.
Yes.
And I kind of applaud Alex Scott for making these young characters immature. Like he captures some real immaturity about them.
Right.
The father's reaction seems a little bit cliched. You know, I know better than you, but I'm going to let you make your mistakes anyway.
Right.
But I liked, you don't normally see the young people portrayed being a bit stupid about things in the way that most of us are when we're 20 or 19 and falling in love or something.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm just really excited by the book. I really like it a lot. It's, like I said, visually it's stunning. It's another book that right now that Alex is writing that is pretty consumable. I just been really surprised lately because, I mean, for me, he's always been a writer he's going to be the person that's going to write the thing you're reading and going, I don't know if I can like this because it's just so far, out there and whatnot. And some of the stuff he's been writing lately has been very, very consumable. That's the word I want to use for it, because sometimes he makes stuff really challenging.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read all of his stuff, but I remember a while ago looking at his things and noticing that they were just copyright by him. And this one is copyright by him and Tradmore. So I wonder if that indicates more of a collaboration.
Yeah, I think that most of his stuff now is that way because he's pretty big into making sure everybody gets their.
Yeah, so I haven't read any of his recent books. That was like 4 or 5 years ago that I noticed that.
I mean, like I said, visually it's just so cool. I don't know. It's just kind of, I want to call it pop art. I don't know, how I want to describe his style, but it's just so, bold and kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's really cool. Like I said, though, for me, this issue though, kind of just decided to ground to a halt. I'm like you commented on stuff. We do get to see some immaturity of some of the characters. You get a little bit more history as to why they act the way they do. And so I appreciate that, but whereas every issue up to this point has been the first, 3 issues were like terribly. I mean, they're super exciting, just really just ramped up, crazy stuff going on. This one was kind of, and I don't understand the cover either.
I don't. It doesn't play off anything in the book as far as I can tell.
I'm assuming that's a statue, but why? I mean,
they look like Greek statues facing some calamity or something.
Yeah, and it doesn't make.
And there's nothing like that in the book.
No, not at all.
Yeah. I do have to say, Sarah with her blonde hair and pink clothing is so much more accessible than ever before. Yeah. That's a joking reference to something she said on Twitter.
Right on. That's funny. All right. So what do you want to talk, Sarah? You got any books you want to talk about?
Oh yeah. I don't know if you guys brought it up or if anybody else got it. Exorcisters?
I did. I did pick up that.
Yeah, I would be surprised. I would be disappointed if you didn't pick this up. I know you're a little more eloquent with describing books, so if you want to go ahead and describe it, since I'm a little prepared today.
No, that's right. So basically, we get this story of it's kind of a there's a wedding, and at this wedding, right as they're about ready to do the I do's, the groom gets sucked away by a demon. A demon shows up and basically goes, "I'm here to collect your soul," grabs him and takes him away. And so these two sisters have been called in. They're supposedly experts in dealing with this sort of thing, and they're going to track down the groom, go into hell, track down the groom, get him back, and save the day. And these two sisters, they are twins. They are kind of like the yin and yang. One of them is very professional and bookish, and of course, then the other one is, you know, kind of rock and roll. She's eating the wedding cake. They haven't had the wedding yet, and she's like drinking all the champagne at the wedding while they're trying to, you know, figure out what's going on. And she's eating the wedding cake before the wedding, you know, and that sort of thing. And so it's got some comedy elements to it, you know, kind of a thing. They go down to hell. They find out they kind of like show up in the neighborhood, and people go to mess with them, and then they realize who they are, and it's like, oh no, we don't want to mess. I mean, so somehow they have all this weight and power, it seems like, but they haven't really explained why. And they find out that the guy isn't in hell, that it's all been a ruse, and they kind of expose him. He was looking to collect on his would-be bride to take her money and that sort of thing and whatnot. And in the very end of it, we get this kind of surprise in that they're not sisters. They're one soul that's been split in half. So they're actually the same person that's been, for some reason, been split in two. And we don't know what that is. I'm assuming we'll get that story as we go along. Did I miss some part of that?
So it's the husband's not really trying to get her money. He's got to deal with some demon that feeds off sadness. Right. And so the more that he provides sadness to the demon that he can feed off of, the more money that he will get in return. So he pretty much made this whole ruse, like he never loved his soon-to-be wife, and built it up to where that he'll get her to marry him and leave her at the altar, so she'll be like eternally sad, so that demon can forever feed off her sadness, and in turn he'll forever get his source of money. And I'm really curious to see why they have so much weight in hell, and like why everybody, all those demons are like, oh wait, we won't mess with you. I think it's a really good setup for a story, and I enjoy this art a lot too. Yeah. It's very clean.
Yeah, it's almost Archie-like.
Yeah.
You know, it's got those kinds of elements to it. You know, the bright-eyed and you know, the happy, you know, smiley faces. To me, that's what it felt like. It was has kind of an Archie, you know, sort of a feel to it as far as you know, as far as the style of art. I mean, even when they're in hell, it's, I mean, you know, big eyeballs and whatnot, but it's fairly, you know, like fairly clean and simplified kind of a thing, but enjoyable and amusing. And yeah, I'm really curious about the fact, like I said, when they show up in hell, everybody's like afraid of them, like you would assume that whoever's in charge of hell that's the kind of weight they would have. And so it had that kind of feel. Yeah. In the comments, and he's saying that it's Archie meets Constantine. So
yeah. I would agree with that one.
Yeah.
But I'd still say that the best part of it is when we meet this demon here that tried to possess a 6-year-old girl, and it went wrong and it reversed. So the 6-year-old girl's actually possessing the demon while he's in hell. So right. you get some good comedy.
Yeah, which is a great image, because he's got those big spiky horns, but he has little bows tied him like they were pigtails and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than that, I think what I like about it is it's just a good comic. There's nothing too much going on with it. It's not too deep, but it's still enjoyable to read.
Right.
So.
Right. For sure.
Oh.
And like I said,
would you say it's kid friendly, or is the language?
I don't remember reading any bad language, but there's also like drinking and stuff in there, so I don't.
There is.
Or is there violence in the cartooniness? Violence is usually my greatest concern. But.
Yes, there is a certain amount of that. There's a certain amount of threats. There's also there's definitely some innuendo in it. I mean, they don't swear, but there's definitely innuendo in it. I mean, like this character gets splotched by this thing, you know, and you know, and it's like the comment, I'm sorry that you ended up in that thing's mouth, and it's like it wasn't its mouth. I mean, there's some implication there of other stuff. Now, does that go over the head of some kids? It might,
you know, for a 10-year-old, the joke about that might not be so bad. But
right. But if
there's actual, you know, a feeling of real violence, then it can be.
There's no like blood or gore that I remember being in it. You know, so it's not anything like that.
I think the worst word that I remember being used is like douchebag or something.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, at the beginning, looks like he gets pulled into hell. I mean, so I mean, you know, that might be worrisome, but and by the end of it, he's clearly fine. He's hanging out in a house that won't sell.
It just looks like it might appeal to some kids' sense of humor about.
Yeah, they do mention porn, so I don't know how you.
Okay.
I definitely not.
That would be
I'd have to pre-read it.
Yeah.
I clicked Ian Boothby's the writer, right? I clicked on his name on Comixology, and he's written Scooby-Doo and Powerpuff Girls,
and that doesn't surprise me because this has some of those kinds of, you know, that kind of flavor to it. That you know, some of that kind of humor and whatnot. So yeah.
Yeah, it's literally. I think the worst part is they have the husband's laptop to try to find him, and
that's right.
And she says any weird porn on his laptop, and she says, "Oh no porn at all." That's about it.
Which they think is even more disturbing. The fact there is no porn makes it really disturbing. So, yeah,
that one would be hard for me to explain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So looks interesting. I might pick it up if I see it.
It's cute. It's the right kind of cute. It's fun. Yeah.
I think for me that's it.
Damien, you want to talk Lucifer?
Sure.
Wilson for food.
Which is only glancingly related to the inside of the book.
Well, right. So I'm like you. I picked it up for the artist. The
Fiumara brothers.
Right, the twins. They're awesome. Dave McCraig's coloring on it is excellent. He's a really, really strong colorist that's been around for a long time. I'm not familiar with Dan Waters at all. I don't know.
I feel like I've heard that name somewhere, but I don't know where. I meant to look him up, but I didn't.
Yeah, I think he's an author of novels, not comics.
Oh, that explains it, because a lot of the people that what's his name?
Gaiman
pulled in are his friends from the prose writing world, where he spent more time in the past few decades. So, did you have a hot thought on this, or shall I dive in?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I liked it, but it wasn't at all what I was hoping for a Lucifer book. I remember Lucifer from Seasons in the Mist, and then from the Lucifer comic by Mike Carey. I didn't read some of the more recent ones they did since he had his own TV show. But this doesn't feel at all like that Lucifer to me. Or he's been through something that's made him nutty and wacky in a way that I don't remember him being before. And I'm not sure about the Caliban stuff. Did we ever have Caliban as Lucifer's son in the Sandman stories before?
I don't believe so.
Yeah. And Caliban comes, to my knowledge, from Shakespeare, but I don't know for sure. Maybe if he's part of the mythos of Christianity. But so, yeah, it was an interesting read, but it wasn't. I didn't care about it. I didn't care about Lucifer, and I didn't care about any of the other characters so far.
Okay. Now, I went into it not expecting it to be the Lucifer from that original run that directly spinned off of Sandman, despite this having the Sandman
universe label.
Right. And of course, I've read the modern Lucifer stuff. This is nothing. The two are.
You mean the stuff in the late 2000s or teens, 2000 teens that we've been having recently?
Right. And this is totally
and this is not related to that either.
No. That that stuff was much more straightforward. Lucifer is on Earth doing his thing and gets bugged by the greater world and has to take care of stuff.
Does he run a bar in that one?
Yes.
Which he does at the beginning of the Mike Carey one too.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this though. I like this very, very lost, this very disturbed Lucifer, who is, we don't know where. I mean, he's not on Earth clearly. He's in limbo or something. We're not sure exactly where that is.
Yeah, it's almost like he's trapped in some part of hell himself as a victim of it or something.
Right. And he to me, he comes across as some Greek tragic figure almost.
Right. And that Prometheus or something.
Yeah, because he
gets his eyes plucked out every day.
Yeah. And he has problems concentrating. So he's kind of he's the crazy guy you'd find on the street that's rambling about holy stuff and sinners and that sort of a thing and whatnot. I mean, he wakes up every morning and tries to figure out how to get his clothes on and has somebody that helps him do that. And he's going to go out with a shovel and he's going to dig this hole. And that's what he's going to do. And then he gets sidetracked by whatever else is going on in this issue. At some point he gets beat up by these ethereal black dancers that actually beat him so badly they crush him into a pail. So he's actually in a bucket.
That was a really cool scene where he gets pushed into the bucket.
Yeah. And
there's a lot of inventiveness going on here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so I really liked it because it's just, I mean, I love the art too, the colors of it and stuff. It's just very visceral and like I said, I guess I like tragic, crazy characters to some sense. The Ahabs that are out there in the world and whatnot. And to me, to some degree, that's kind of how Lucifer comes across to me. He's obsessed with something, but at the same time, he's self-destructive, and so he doesn't get what he wants or what he's after. He's not the smooth criminal. He's bonkers.
He may not be fully sane at this point either. Something has driven him crazy.
Right.
And then we have a parallel story about a guy whose wife is dying, presumably of cancer or something.
Brain cancer.
And then do they say that? Okay. And then he takes her out for a drive and seems to have blacked out and had an accident and that killed her.
Right.
And then he kind of seems to encounter Caliban, who apparently is Lucifer's son.
Right. And so, like, his wife's last dying words, she whispers something about an old relative. And so he goes off to Florida. He goes off to Florida to find this old relative that he doesn't really believe is going to be in this rehab house, and they're still there. And who knows what that's going to be? That's like the parallel story or something.
It's called Gately House. I wonder if it's somehow a portal or somehow connected to the world that Lucifer is trapped in.
Right. And in Lucifer's world, Lucifer finally does get his act together well enough to dig a hole, and he digs down and finds after he pulls himself literally out of the bucket, he digs down to this hole and finds petrified version of his son in the ground. I don't know. I really liked it. To me, it hit the right note with me when I was reading it. To have this kind of almost Shakespearean Greek tragedy-esqueness to it. I like the language. I like the way a lot of the language in it is written and stuff. So I was really excited about it. I came away from it going, I really dig this. I love the art. I love this kind of long-haired, crazy Lucifer, to see what goes on with him. I don't know how long a story like this can last.
Right.
I mean, that, if I wanted to look at it for longevity purposes, where is it going to go? I don't know. How many issues can we have? The crazy? I'm not sure, but
I'd love it if these books were like the old Sandman, that every 6 or 8 issues a new story begins involving the same character but in a different situation.
Right. Right.
So listening to you makes me realize this author basically just threw out everything from Lucifer comics in the past and is making his own Lucifer. And taken like that, it is a really well done comic.
Yeah, and that's what makes and I guess for me that makes me hopeful for the Books of Magic, because that's of all the Vertigo books that are coming out, it's the one of the Sandman Universe stuff. It's the one that I went, I don't need another one of these. I really don't. I mean, what else? I mean, what else? How can they retread that any more than they already than what the book was? I mean, to me, the book, it didn't lend itself to such nuance that you could. I mean, because the book with Lucifer, clearly you're going to be playing with religion to some degree, so you have a large level of nuance that a new writer can dance with. The Books of Magic with Tommy, how much more can you do with that? So I'm hoping that they have something, some new take on it, because that's the book I'm worried about the most out of all of these. Though I have to admit, are you reading all of them, Damien?
No, this is the only one I'm reading in single issues, so I will decide later whether to read some of them.
The House of Whispers one, I like the idea of it, but it's it feels kind of like a hot mess right now. So
I tried reading one of her novels years ago, and I could not get into it. So that was one reason why I thought I'd wait.
Yeah, House of Whispers does seem pretty convoluted.
Right.
It was one of those I had to reread a couple times to actually know what was going on. Yeah. So.
I mean, I like it visually. The way it looks, but it's like, okay, where's it's going? I can't see it. I can't find a direction in it, I guess, is my problem with it. So, yeah. Alrighty. Any other indie books we want to talk about?
Well, I know that you dropped Skyward.
Yes, I did.
And I am still enjoying it a lot.
Right. I may have to pick it up and trade because maybe I just didn't give it enough time.
It's very decompressed. So it certainly might be a better read and trade in the sense not a lot happens per issue. Mm-hmm. But I still get a big kick out of it, both the art and the kind of wacky story. So, now we're in the world of giant insects because what keeps insects small, in a lot of people's theory, is gravity, and that their bodies can't. And insects reproduce very fast, so they can evolve very quickly, is the theory. Whether they would evolve literally into just giant-sized versions of themselves, but this is a fantasy story, so
sure.
It's another very fun installment. So I'm still very happy for myself for continuing with Skyward.
So where are they at? I mean, where are they? I mean, it's still the young courier. The story.
There's the young girl. We've now. How much should I spoil? We've now learned that her father and one other man were part of the leaders of a scientific team that caused the end of gravity.
Right. I know the one guy's profiting off it.
One guy's profiting off of it and is willing to kill people or do whatever it takes to just keep his power. Right. And the other one, her father, kind of went wacko and couldn't leave his bedroom for years. Right. And finally left his bedroom and then sacrificed himself to save her and said, here's where to go to stop gravity or to bring gravity back.
Okay.
And there's kind of a hint that, she kind of likes this world without gravity.
Sure.
But we do have this evil guy who wants to keep the without gravity too. So,
right.
It's kind of black and white in story wise, good guys and bad guys. Sure. But it feels like to me now it might be like one of those for me, Edgar Rice Burroughs stories where you would go from one fantastical place to another, or like a old Flash Gordon serial where every arc you're going to be in some wild and wacky place. So now we're in the world of people who ride around on giant butterflies and battle mosquitoes and things like that. Nice. So it's fun.
I love that artist. I mean, that's for me. That's why I'm bummed that it really wasn't hooking me, because I absolutely love that artist. So, yeah.
What's his name?
Garbett. Garbett. Yeah.
Yeah, Lee Garbett, and it feels even to me better than other Lee Garbett work I've seen. I've always liked him, but
yeah.
And then I'm reading Savage Dragon, which is a weird comic book. There's a lot of sex in it.
I was going to ask if it was still going down that road. So
yeah, so his wife, remember when? Well, no, you're not a Buffy fan, are you?
I'm not, but I know
Buffy
a lot
came
about
back
Buffy.
from heaven, and she was really upset.
Right.
His wife has had the same experience, but the result is it makes her want to have sex all the time to try to get back to what she felt in heaven.
So okay, so that's an interesting call on heaven. Right. Okay.
And at the same time, Savage Dragon Jr. here, his blood can bring people back to life, but then they'll explode unless some special other treatment. So it's just got all these wacky elements going on, and it does keep evolving and stuff. So I enjoy it. But it is something that, my daughter looks at it and says, "Oh, that looks like fun," but she can't read it.
Yeah, no.
So anyway, I have two more, but did anyone else have more?
East to West. I'm still reading East to West. We're on issue number 39. We're coming up to what I think is going to be the last arc. There's like 8 more issues or something like that, I believe, of the book. By the end of this issue, the 3 horsemen have caught up with Babylon finally, while Death is off battling a bunch of stuff off in another place kind of thing. So we'll be curious to see what happens with that, because we're still unsure of exactly how Babylon is operating. I mean, he's supposed to bring around the end of everything. But of course he's being kind of misguided by Balloon. His computer that's attached to his eyes is still lying to him, but it has been altered. So it's altered. We don't know exactly how yet. And meanwhile, all the prophets, all the people who are supposed to kind of help usher in the end of days have gathered. And there's a massive war getting ready to happen. So a bunch of things are happening in it, but it continues to be this just kind of really smart book where it pays in dividends as you're reading along. For me in singles, because it starts referencing back stuff from the first 9 issues, continue along with it and whatnot. That it's just really a cool book. Excited to see how it ends. It's just like I said, it's all getting so close to this kind of.
Has he announced when he's going to end it, or you can just tell it's ending?
No, they said that it was. I can't remember what issue they said that it was going to end on, but they said it's going to end on X issue. So, like I said, I believe they've said there's another arc left, but that arc, like I said, is like 8 issues or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's some of the characters who are secondary characters are now like the really powerful people. Crow and Witch are some of the main people of the First Nation. They're controlling what's going on with the Indians as they are moving in to basically wipe everybody else out. They have the technology and whatnot to really take care of everything. So it's gonna be really excited to see exactly how that plays out. And we still have this kind of politics going on. Archibald from the South is up to something. He does not want to see the end of everything. He's using the end of everything to get to make his life more convenient, but he really doesn't want the end to come. But his job is to help usher that in. I mean, that's what him and some of the other leaders are supposed to be doing and stuff. So, like I said, it'll be really curious to see exactly how that plays out. But of course, it ends with the 3 horsemen, minus Death, have ran into Babylon. And the last time they ran into Babylon, Babylon cut the legs off of War and caved in the head of Pestilence as he got away. So Babylon, who's this kid, has all this software in him to just completely wreck everything. So I have no idea exactly what it'll be, how it's going to really play out. And it's a book that once it's all completed, I will be sitting down and reading through the whole thing all in one shot, because I think it's that good. And it's also a book that once it's all done, I will buy whatever the most deluxe big hardback version there is of it. There's just, there's not a lot of books I'll do that with. This is definitely one of those that, and I know it's coming out in now it's coming out in a deluxe hardback where it collects 3 volumes together in one big book. So it's
right. I have the first 2 of those.
Yeah.
I haven't read it all yet, but yeah. I was afraid it might go away, so I wanted to get it in that version.
Right. And I'm wondering that too. If I don't pick them up, is that going to be the fanciest version it comes in, or is there going to be some
even
gnarly omnibus oversized thing that'll come out at some point too. I don't know.
Yeah, it's always a guessing game.
Right. Book that's kind of impossible to talk about. Absolutely bonkers. I really love it. Evolution. That's kind of body horror. Everybody's infected with this virus that turns them into these tentacled whatevers, and they're completely alien, and they have alien language, and you're no longer you're something else, kind of a thing. Except some of the people have some level of control over their bodies afterwards, and have kind of created these little cults. And there's this one guy who, at the beginning of this series, you just thought that he was like some crazy doctor, and he actually is largely right, and that he saw this all coming, but he is still doing horrific crimes to try and solve it. He is constantly suckering people in and murdering them and taking their blood and doing stuff with their blood to try and inoculate his son. He has stolen his son from his ex-wife, and they are traveling by train across the United States, and he is slowly trying to develop something to destroy this virus that's consuming everybody else, kind of a thing. We have a nun that's in Germany. She kind of like speaks the holy word of this cult. It's not Christianity. It's some other strange thing that she just kind of starts talking in tongues. And so she's become this like religious figure amongst this cult. But part of the cult almost works like the UN. They have peacekeeper type things, and they go in and they clean up these places where these monsters have started to appear. It's really random, but really good. Written by 3 different people, one artist throughout the whole thing. And surprisingly, even though written by 3 different people and they each take care of different stories within the book, they all piece together really well. It all feels like it should be all part of one story and whatnot. But the art is just really cool, really dark and really twisted kind of stuff inside of it. But yeah. And that's it for my independent books. Any others?
What number issue was Evolution on?
11. I now have no idea. No end really in sight. I mean, they've got, like I said, the doctor is traveling across the United States trying to find the source. He thinks if he finds the source, he can fix it all. Each part in the book tends to be colored differently depending on who we're dealing with. The doctors tend to be, blues and greens. The nuns tend to be kind of a browns and oranges for her parts. And then there's this guy who collects like weird films and stuff films and that sort of thing. He's got these 2 ladies that one of the ladies has become infected. He's trying to help her safely transform into what her new self will be, kind of a thing. And their stuff tends to be greens and pinks and oranges and whatnot, kind of colors and whatnot. But so it kind of quickly lets you know visually when you've gone from the women to like back to the doctor, kind of a thing, which I really like. I like that the very quick visual cues of the different mood lighting for it.
Looks pretty amazing.
Yeah, good stuff. Righty. Any books you want to talk about?
I'm still reading Curse Words, which I enjoy a lot. A wacky fantasy. It just keeps going on and still is good. So I don't really have anything new to say about it. Has anyone else ever tried this one?
I read the first 2 issues. I was pro beard, but I just couldn't really get hooked into the book.
I imagine it's one that you either like or you don't. I mean, there's probably not a lot of middle ground. It's just has a certain tone to it that I enjoy. And then this might be cheating, but I think it came out recently.
Yeah.
My heroes have always been junkies. I just read this today, and I really liked it a lot. It turns out to be a criminal story.
Oh, okay.
They don't say it on the cover, but inside, in smaller print, it says a criminal novella. And it's this really compelling story that takes place mostly in a rehab a very expensive drug rehab thing. And the narrated by this girl who just loves being a junkie and thinks it's like the most romantic thing ever. Oops, what did I just do to my computer? And then at the end, there's a very clever twist as to what's really been going on all along. So if you at all like the Brubaker Phillips stuff, this is definitely one to jump on. Did you get it?
I did not, and I don't know why I didn't order it, because I pretty much buy anything they do now. So I don't know.
Well, you can always get it later, but
right.
It's the coloring is very different because of it being colored by Phillips's son. It has more of a lighter look, and it's less intense, and it makes the artwork look a little less serious somehow. Like it's more, the whole book feels more like it's a light romp, but it isn't. It's very dark.
Right. So do you think that's the intent, though? Because I know there's a conversation about why wasn't
that whole cover gives you the tone of kind of almost sunny. Yeah.
You know, but why wasn't Brewster on the book? You know, kind of a thing, because she pretty much, from Fatale on, they pretty much wrote her as exclusively she is our colorist, and now she isn't. I mean, I know she's busy coloring.
Her husband's comic.
No, she's busy coloring.
Does she do Outcast?
I don't know about that, but I know she does all of. Is it Lee Edwards?
Lee Weeks.
Lee Weeks. She does all of Lee Weeks coloring, so she's been doing those Batman issues. So I don't know if that just makes her busy enough that she's not a prolific. She's not like Jody Blair, where she's a prolific colorer. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, there are rumors that it has to do with Comicsgate, but I have no idea. It seems like it would be silly for them to lose her because of something like that.
I guess it depends.
Obviously not directly involved or anything.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what kind of conflict that is. I mean, you know, Ed Brubaker is no longer on social media anywhere where you can't engage the guy like you used to be able to. But clearly somebody who's not in the camp of Comicsgate. So I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how much of a rift is there, or are they just, this is a professional relationship. So we do this work, and so it doesn't matter, or doesn't matter. I guess we'll find out when they do the next thing they do, right? Isn't like the next thing they're supposed to be doing as a sequel?
Yeah, and I saw in previews that his son was coloring that also.
Well, that would be an indication that clearly she's not doing work for them anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be just she's taking a break for a while, but I hope that's what it is.
Well, but the thing is, if she's taking a break, she's doing other work.
Right. I'm just hoping it's not because, politics is that bad that they have to break apart or something, as the rumors are.
Right.
And his son is a good colorist. It's, it just has a very different kind of tone to it.
Well, hopefully when they go back to the supposed sequel thing, that we get something that looks, I want it to look like a sequel. I want it to look like the other stuff. So,
yeah.
And that'll be kind of a bummer if it doesn't.
Anyway, I highly recommend this book.
Cool.
So I hope other people discover
I'll be getting it. Yeah. So no other independent books we want to talk about? Want to talk about some Marvel books? Because it'll be quick for me because I don't have any this week. But I'm happy to hear anybody else talk Marvel books.
I'll go ahead and start it off then. I did pick up the What If Spider-Man Became the Punisher. And the idea, of course, is after he gets irradiated, after the wrestling match, after the guy steals the money, instead of capturing him, he ends up using the gun on the person. And that's kind of what kicks psychologically for him to decide that, crime must pay. And so we see this Spider-Man who is more about guns. He's gunning down the Sinister Six. He knows that if he lets them get by, that they're only going to come back to get him later. And so we see that it continues along that line until finally he battles the Green Goblin, who figures out who he is, who kidnaps Gwen Stacy. And then at that point, he has to kill the Green Goblin. He shoots, through the armor. He saves Gwen this time by figuring out a trajectory arc to swing her over. Things are good. He decides it's time to put away the costume. Then in Central Park, we see Mr. Castle's family gets gunned down. Castle gets away from him, and he finds the thrown away Spider-Man uniform in the garbage, like we see in that wonderful cover. And so that's it. I mean, it's the idea is, what if he was to get a little more serious, a little more psycho? And it goes exactly like you think it would. But,
cool. Never a what if I would question.
Yeah. So.
I love what ifs, actually. It's just, if you're in the Marvel frame of mind, it's just fun to play with that.
Sure.
Well, and especially because the idea is we're getting a one-shot story, which is so missing in Marvel right now. You can't get single issue stories. So I guess
missing
that's
in comics in general.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Sarah, did you read any Marvel books this week or last week or whatever week it was?
Yeah, last week. Surprisingly, I think my pull's more Marvel than anything nowadays. Well, I think this was last week anyways. So, got the Unstoppable Wasp #1. This is something I was super excited about because I picked up the trades not too long ago of the old series that Jeremy Whitley, and I don't want to butcher that name. This team did already a volume 1 and volume 2 of this, and it just stopped for some reason. But this picks up where that left off. And so with the Unstoppable Wasp, if you guys haven't read any of it or don't know anything about it, it follows Nadia. And Nadia is Hank Pym's daughter. And I guess the story is where she gets kidnapped, taken to the Red Room in Russia, trained as an assassin, and she uses all the science she learns to reverse engineer her father's Pym particles. And she escapes, and then she comes to the States. And I know that most of her story was told in a lot of the, I want to say the Avengers books, maybe, but I didn't pick up any of those team books, so I was very out of the loop on it. But I was glad to pick this up. It's not one of those books that you have to know everything about to enjoy it. So she's pretty much under the wing of Janet Van Dyne now. And she finds all these girls that are pretty much the smartest in the Marvel universe anyways, the smartest girls in the world. And she makes this team called Girl, or, Agents of Girl. And she does more of the butt-kicking part of it. She's still, smart and uses her wits more so than her brawn, but it seems like in this issue she uses all the other girls as backup, kind of like her versions of the Oracle, really. So, and I don't know, I enjoy the dynamic that she has with Janet. It's more about their friendships than it is more about the superhero part of it. So it's more of a feel-good story. Damien, I would, if you I would let your daughter read this one. It's awesome, very appropriate, very girl power. So we
actually
cute.
Read the first short series. Maybe that's the one you were talking about. It didn't last very long, and we liked it a lot. And I just need to I didn't realize it had come out again.
Yeah, the only reason that I knew it was going to come out again was because I started following the artist or the writer on Twitter, and when I found out again, I was so excited. I was like, that is the one thing I need on my pull that day. Just because, and I was so glad that it was the same writer and the same artist. Because you know how that a lot of times when a series comes back, they change artists, they change writers, and it just doesn't have the same feel. And I feel like we're in the same world with this, and it's picking back up where it left off. So I don't feel like I'm missing anything anymore.
That's great to hear.
Yeah. I've heard lots of good stuff about those first, the first trades of the book. And the reason it went away is because in singles it wasn't selling. But of course, then after they quit the book, the trades come out. The trades were selling really, really well. And that's when they went, we better bring this back, and they'll just, kind of a thing. As long as the trades keep selling, the trades are selling well enough that they'll keep producing the book. There's been a few Marvel books now that the singles haven't been exactly what they wanted, and then when the trades hit the secondary market, the the Scholastic market and the book fair market for younger adults, whatnot, it's been selling like gangbusters. But I've been hearing from lots of people that it's just awesome. So
it is a fun ride, and I don't know for sure. I feel like it's going to tie in with the new West Coast Avengers here soon because they're dealing. I don't know if I'm spoiling anything for anybody. I'm sorry. They're dealing with Brodok or
right on
now, and AIM and all that, and now Agents of Girl are dealing with AIM, and I think a different sector of AIM. Yeah, so cool. I hope that they kind of cross over a little bit. I think that would be really fun. So
I hope they don't, because I don't want to deal with the crossover, but when I get it, that's fun. If you're getting both books, that's cool, right? So,
yeah.
Right.
I'm okay with it. I have nothing better to do. Might as well get a crossover.
Nice. That's cool. Right on. Alrighty. Any other Marvel books you want to talk about?
Did anybody else get Marvel books? Because I feel like this is really weird.
I just said the one.
Oh,
so
it's a draw.
I got one, but I haven't read it yet. I got a Thor.
All of my Marvel books all come out in 1 week for some reason. So
that's so strange. Okay, yeah, I think this was
Thor.
The last,
yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Fred's in the comments saying that Thor was awesome. So
yeah, yep. I actually started picking this up because of that guy, and yep. I don't regret it one bit. I don't usually pick up these classic Marvel character books, and only because I feel like I hear the same story or read the same story over and over and over again. And with this one, it was not the case. It does jump around a little bit between the present and the future, which I had to go back and reread just to make sure I got the timeline correct in my head. But there are so many cool things that happen in this book, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't picked it up. But pretty much right now, the current state of this issue in the comic, we are millennia in the future. Thor is now the All-Father. He's God because he recreated Earth, and because Earth died for some reason. It's probably in a book that I didn't read. And he's at the end of the Earth trying to reignite the cosmos, trying to make sure that these planets aren't dying, because he notices that all the cosmos, it's kind of the end of the universe, so to speak, and he's trying to revive that. And at the end of the universe, the book previously to this, he senses some sort of energy and ends up finding out that it's the Phoenix spirit, which he thought it was just regular Phoenix, but it's actually Old Man Phoenix. It's Logan who got possessed as Phoenix. And at first I was like, oh, okay, that's an interesting choice. But it makes sense with all of Logan and his regeneration powers getting possessed by the Phoenix spirit. I think it's very probable. And just the dialogue that those two had, of course they end up fighting, because it wouldn't be a comic book without some sort of conflict where they disagreed about something. And then at the same time, he sends his granddaughters down to Earth because he knows something's going to happen. And they're the goddesses of thunder, obviously. And so this entity starts releasing these monsters down to Earth. And you got Fin Fang Foom, which I was pretty excited about. I didn't get to really enjoy Defenders, and I didn't not the TV show. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping that was going to be Fin Fang Foom, but I don't know too much about that storyline. And so I was just on this kick after that, even though I got teased about it. And he gets released and onto Earth, and then you finally see the entity or the being or the god, as he likes to call himself, who's releasing havoc onto Earth. And it's actually Dr. Doom. And he's possessed, or he took Iron Fist's powers, he took Ghost Rider's powers, he took Doctor Strange's powers, and he is just wreaking havoc all over. And all of these humans that are there now are like, oh, our God will save us, Thor will save us. But he mows over Thor. And I guess Thor and Old Man Logan, or Old Man Phoenix, come to some sort of agreement So they agree to fight Doom together. So they come back to Earth, and they're both fighting Doom, and they're both just getting mowed over by him, obviously, because he's got that, I guess, trifecta that he stole, and it's there's so much going on. I don't want to spoil it, really. I want you guys to read it. That's how much I like this book. I want you to go read it and enjoy it for yourselves. Like, there's a sacrifice that Old Man Phoenix makes, and it just is something that is a pivotal point in the story and makes it a lot more, I don't know, kind of edge of your seat type of story. And I never thought that I would get this from Marvel books before, but I think because I'm re-entering back into the world of comics now, I can see them with a new set of eyes now and not be so cynical about them. And if you just want a very enjoyable, very like, well, I didn't see that coming type of book, Thor's the way to go. So please just go pick it up. You guys would love it.
Jason Aaron is really establishing a huge, amazing run of Thor. I mean, I think that, you know, if we want to look at, you know, 20 years from now, look back at, you know, runs of comics, and I think this is one that will be, I mean, it's going to be there. It's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big thing. It's something that I dropped it long before Lady Thor and all that and whatnot, and huge mistake. I'm gonna have to go back and pick it up, because I hear nothing but good stuff about the book and all the way along. Mike, do you ever wonder why did I decide to quit getting the book?
No, I understand
Really?
the same thing, because I have really enjoyed runs of it, but there was changes in artist, or there were just little things that, you know, like Sarah mentioned, when you can sometimes see some of the same story coming over and over again, and which is great, but then they can always tell you that, you know, this has changed because it was actually Loki's lie, or, you know. So it's been a great character, it's been great stories, but I got wore out by it.
Okay. No, like I said, I need to go and get it, because it's one of those books I literally hear nobody ever say a bad thing about it, basically. So, yeah, cool. I'm going to pick up the Conan book. Daniel, are you going to pick up the Conan?
I'm really torn, because
I
didn't love the preview of the art I saw, and Conan to me is a lot about the art, but yeah, I probably will pick it up. And Jason Aaron on Conan is very intriguing.
Right. I'm just curious to see what they are going to do with it. Are they going to keep it simple? Are they going to keep it simple and just kind of the classic, you know, Conan, or are they going to try and go someplace with it? I'm curious. I'll pick it up, because I'm just curious to see what they're going to do.
And then eventually they're going to have like 3 or 4 different Conan comics, and I kind of dread that.
See, that makes me nervous, though.
Yeah.
Sarah, who did the art on that Conan book? Oh, sorry, the Thor book.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Ward, I think.
Is that Christian Ward?
Nice.
Yeah.
Who was on Black Bolt before?
Yeah. Disclaimer here. I'm terrible with the artist and writer's names. So
that's cool. Yeah. That's cool. I can't pronounce half of them, but Christian Ward is somebody I know. So,
for some reason.
Yeah.
No, I'll probably forget it in like 2 seconds. So I'm just bad.
Well, no. And Del Mundo was doing those, and then I knew that Ward was going to do 1 or 2 issues, and then Del Mundo is coming back for 1 or 2, and then we're getting, and I guess that's what throws me off sometimes, is the artists change on them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to go back to that book and backtrack here, but I thought, like, I'm usually not too fond of like line work where there's too much line work, because I feel like it just makes it look messy, but he did such a good job with making it vivid enough where you can still understand everything visually. And I don't know, maybe I'm simple-minded, but
Christian Ward does amazing colors. His work, I mean, so because a lot of the heavy lifting of his art is the color. I mean, because I own some of his pages of the original work, and it's very simple lines that then he, of course, puts all this amazing layers of colors into. to establish. I love his work. I mean, I have no problem picking up just about anything that he's doing artwork on. So, yeah, cool.
So, Sarah, what did you think of the first couple issues with the Del Mundo artist on it?
From what I can remember, actually, I do have them right in front of me.
Guys, I'm going to have to run. It's great hanging out.
Okay.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye, David. Bye. Let me see. Oh, wait. Oh, you're talking about these ones. Yeah, so I can say I don't know if I was too big of a fan of this art, really. Right. I liked it a lot more when the other guy hopped on, just because I feel like it personally, this artist made the story more epic feeling, like, and it needed that epicness to this. This felt more. It was boxy. I don't know. I'm not.
Yes.
Any comic critic or artist critic by any means, but it just didn't have that. There's no better word. The epic factor.
No, and I definitely agree with you on that, because I mean, I love Del Mundo, the first artist, but I didn't think he was right for that book, and I would definitely go for that Christian Ward art for Thor. I think that definitely is going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely has been enjoyable for this issue, for sure.
All right, so if they switch back to Del Mundo, though, are you continuing with these, or?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely continuing with them. Unless I feel like the art is completely atrocious, I will stay on for a story, because I'm more about this story. All right. There's just been a very few where any book, like, the art has thrown me off. Recently, in the book that was The Long Halloween, it took me forever to get through it because I couldn't stand the art in it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my spoiled modern, young eyes, but I couldn't I couldn't get through it very well because of the art. So
no, I'm an old man and I'm fickle on art all the time.
Right. Yeah. Well, we're all qualified art critics in the sense that we like what we like and we don't like what we don't like. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty. Sarah, you got any other Marvel books you want to share?
Not at this moment. Okay. I don't think As Guardians of the Galaxy came out last week. I think it was the week before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel news we want to talk about? They're canceling all the Netflix shows. Beyond that, what? I don't know.
Let's not talk about the negative. Let's talk about the positive.
Yeah,
we got Daredevil again.
Yeah, I haven't started to watch that yet.
Oh my gosh.
I'm still halfway through season 2 of Iron Fist. So when I get done with it, then I'll get onto the.
Drop it.
No, the first Iron Fist season was really slow and really awkward and whatnot, but I like some of the characters that are in it, and the second season Iron Fist has actually been, for me, has been really enjoyable because they kind of worked out the stuff I hated about the first season and whatnot. But yeah,
I'm on season 2 of Jessica Jones, so I still haven't seen Luke Cage. I still haven't seen the Iron Man 2.
Right.
Definitely have not seen Daredevil. But I am hoping for that Heroes for Hire once they hit the other streaming service.
Yeah, so. We'll see. Yeah. Comic book wise, though, I haven't really heard anything that Marvel wise that's rang any bells as far as.
No, because I was just thinking of Eric Longbox's preview show on what's coming up, and I don't remember anything jumping out on that.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, talk some DC books.
Right.
Did you get any DC books this week, Mike?
No, but I was just going to touch lightly on Catwoman. I know you discussed it a little bit previously last week. Mm-hmm. I just like that we have found out about her sister and the backstory on how nasty Black Mask treated her sister and her brother just to torture Selina, and I definitely thought that was just a excellent story. The artwork, since it was flashbacks, it wasn't my cream of the crop because I was purchasing this for Jones's art.
Right.
But for the flashback, it was nice. It was something that could tell a different story. And the story continues to be amazing. She is an awesome writer.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting. I think it's kind of a way for her to maintain the monthly comic when she's both writing and doing the art. To give herself a break, because there's only like 3 pages in it that she does herself, because most of it is flashback. But the flashback isn't filler. It actually serves a purpose to the story. And so it's smart to have a different artist do the flashback art. That gives her the break, I'm assuming, that she needs to stay doing the book the way she wants to do it and whatnot. So, I liked it too. I like this. I like her take on Catwoman. She seems to me to have a solid handle on what's going on in it. I like the cast of characters that's around Selina. So, yeah.
The flashback to her childhood was especially nice to see what the building blocks are that made Selina who she is. So, the Halloween storyline where they're all dressed up and she has the gun, things that I thought were definitely great building blocks for this. Mm-hmm. So I was really happy with the story.
Mm-hmm. Well, so Batman, I think I'm the only one that's reading Batman here. Batman issue 57. I was kind of curious to see if Damien is reading Batman and read this issue. So Batman charges through the Siberian blizzards and whatnot into Russia to find KGB Beast, because KGB Beast is, of course, the person who shot Nightwing in the head. Spoiler for anybody who's like, a month behind in their comics. So he gets into the place, beats the door down. They shoot each other. They beat each other up, and finally he takes out KGB Beast. He actually shoots KGB Beast. Is about ready to take him out. He shoots KGB Beast in the face with his grappling gun, and it hits him in the head so hard it snaps his neck. It literally breaks his neck. So he's laying there out in the middle of Siberia with his neck broken. He can't move, and he's like, if you get me help, I'll tell you who hired me and whatnot. And Batman's like, I'm the world's greatest detective. I don't need you to tell me who hired you. I'll figure it out for myself. And you're out in the middle of nowhere. Good luck. And he walks off. So he literally shows up. This entire issue, 2 issues basically, is him stomping off across the Russian winter to beat the holy Jesus out of this guy and then walk away, getting nothing out of it. I mean, there was nothing. I mean, I've been liking Tom King's book here recently a lot, but this was dumb. I'm like, why? This was like such an insane waste of energy and he got his ass beat before he took KGB Beast out. It wasn't like he just whooped him and then walked away. I beat you up for Dick Grayson, you shooting Dick Grayson. I mean, I guess that's what it was supposed to be, but it didn't even feel like that. I don't know. It was just, I don't know. It was, why? I don't get it. And I haven't felt that way about Tom King's Batman in a while, but this was another one of those ones where it's just like, why? It just makes no sense at all. Totally makes no sense. So, anyway, Sarah, did you pick up any DC books this week? Oh, she's gone. Oh, she's there.
I'm here. Sorry. Charging my phone, and I'm trying to plug my headphones in so you guys don't hear feedback. But, well, I picked up the Witching Hour Part 3. I think that was last week.
Yes, the Justice League Dark, which is the Witching Part 3. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, that was the only book that I picked up last week. I am really sad to see that not that many people are freaking out about it, but maybe it's only because it seems like it was very specifically written for somebody like me, because it's got the witchy elements and it's got Swamp Thing and it's got Justice League Dark and it's got Wonder Woman in it. So, of course, when I saw that, I was like, I need all of them and I need them now. And I don't care if it was like, I feel like I could read this book and not care if it was the worst storyline ever, that I would still fight and say that it was the best storyline ever. So I'm probably biased, but I definitely am enjoying it. I'm enjoying that Circe, or am I saying that right? Circe?
Yeah, that's how I would say it.
Yeah, Circe is, helping out Wonder Woman control her powers or her portion of the powers that, I'm going to butcher this, Hecate?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Hecate is...
the mother of all witches, yes.
Yes, bestowed upon her. But I think the most interesting part of this is seeing Zatanna and her little narration in the back of it of her worrying about her friend and her colleague messing with something that she has no idea about. Because let's face it, Wonder Woman doesn't have any history of, well, she doesn't, she's not a witch. She's not a, magical entity. She hasn't really delved much into that world with her having powers like that specifically. Mm-hmm. So she's doesn't have practice with or any experience of anything bad happening to her because she's done something magically. So there's always a price to pay for magic, and my favorite part of reading this is seeing Zatanna and her anxiety and her worrying about it, and you can see that John's worried about it as well, and they're knowing something, but at the same time they can't stop it from happening, so they're like, we gotta just see how this plays out, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's the best part writing wise of the book, is the antenna and the whole, Circe's is giving her the ability to control this power, but it's not real control. She just knows it's fake control, but at the same time, they're so desperate. It's like, well, we're going to go along with it because we don't really have an alternative at this point, but we know this is really bad. This is not going to, we may beat this thing back, but what is the cost going to be to Wonder Woman? Because she doesn't understand. She doesn't understand that cost that's involved there. That's the best written part of it. Kind of thing. There are elements for me to the whole thing that are not necessarily great, but I'm like you. This mix of characters I love so much. They're just characters that I love that it doesn't matter. They could be just the word balloons could be blah 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 blah. Cool art with them, doing interesting looking things. I'm going to enjoy it because I love these characters. Kind of a deal. This isn't a bad crossover. I mean, I would be frustrated with this if I wasn't getting all the books, but this is a crossover where I have to be getting all the books, so it doesn't hurt my feelings at all. It's a crossover that makes sense because of what's going on in it. So yeah, I like the art. I'm enjoying it. For what it is. I'm curious to see how the thing, plays out at the end. I would assume that when it's all said and done, everything's going to go back to the status quo, because I can't imagine them using this crossover to suddenly have Wonder Woman permanently be wielding this kind of, what do I want to call it?
The witch mark?
Yeah, the lighthouse, this lighthouse beacon of power she has radiating out of her head that she just kind of nukes everything that is bad out there. But like I said, I really like the art. I love the way all that stuff, plays out. The paneling of it, the art is really cool. It's trippy, very,
yeah.
So great magic stuff.
Yeah. And it's just, I do like how it was, I don't have it in front of me because I'm charging my phone right now.
That's right.
But the two goddesses battling it out,
right?
Hecate and
Dawn.
Not well. It was Dawn as a avatar, I believe.
Right.
But it was Hold on, I'm gonna pull up the book. Terrible memory nowadays.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I really like the art too. I love their interpretation of Hecate, where it's the three phases of the moon, kind of goddess that she is. Just some really, really cool stuff. If you like magic superhero type books. It's just really cool because they throw all kinds of power around, and it gave the artists on the book and whatnot just a lot of crazy flashy stuff to get to draw and whatnot, which is pretty cool.
It's got all those great elements. It was Dead Man's Goddess. What is her name?
Starts with a K.
Yeah, I wish I was better versed.
Commit, or something like that. What is it?
See?
Yeah.
And it's one of those where
right.
You can't remember right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like Dawn was kind of the avatar, and they were battling it out a little bit,
right.
which I thought was pretty cool. It didn't flesh out as much as I was gonna hope, hoped it would.
So what? There's 2 more issues of this. There's a Wonder Woman issue, and then there's a Wonder Woman Justice League Dark issue, right? I believe is how the rest of it plays out and whatnot. I'm hoping that I remembered to order the.
There's one more. I think there's only one more.
Is it just the Wonder Woman? Is it end of the Wonder Woman issue? Okay.
I think so. I think it's only 4 parts. I think.
Another character they brought back in this that I was excited to see is they bring Black Orchid back. I love the Black Orchid character a lot. Now, she's another one of the witch-tainted entities, so I hope that doesn't mean she's just going to get completely wrecked by the end of it. But I love the Black Orchid character a lot. So, like I said, for me, if you're a DC mythical magic character junkie like me and Sarah are, this is just lots of candy to read for that. So
it really is. Even though what they're setting up with Black Orchid and her being witch marked, so she can't control herself, they show her in the Parliament of Trees, and I'm not.
Yes.
I'm worried they're gonna go down that path. I know they're going down that path because
the end of Swamp Thing.
Well, no, don't say that. But I've read that before. I felt like the Parliament Trees getting burnt down somewhere.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we have seen that. Yeah.
Okay.
The threat of it.
And I thought it. I don't know. It's been a while. But. So, we see her there, and we see her being all threatening, and we see her about to do something. So I'm like, maybe I can just skip this last book so the Parliament Trees doesn't get burned down. I just don't have to, I don't have to accept that, because if that's like the end of Swamp Thing and they're just going to be like, okay, bye Swamp Thing, I'm just going to riot.
But then they'll make Poison Ivy the new
this is what I was going to talk about.
The new Avatar of the Green, right?
Yeah, so that I heard some whispers, some rumors about Poison Ivy going to be the Avatar of the Green after Swamp Thing. I love both of those characters. Do not get me wrong; they're on a pedestal to me, both of them, but equally. And I think that would be a cool story, maybe for a one-shot. Or maybe she just has to take over for a day because he wanted to take a vacation. Cool. But I don't want that to mean that's the end of Alec Holland as the Avatar.
Same. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The foil covers have not been that exciting to me. Just I wanted to point out that most of them I have not really cared for. I do kind of like the Justice League one because it's just kind of like highlights on the cover. It's a Francis Manapul cover, and then it's just like just his the pitchfork and a few other elements, which make it look okay. But I don't know. From somebody who missed the '90s era of Marvel foil covers, I was like, oh, this could be fun.
Justice League Odyssey looked nice too, I thought.
Yeah, I haven't gotten those yet. My Justice League Odyssey is in Alaska, so I have not gotten to see it yet to see what it looks like. But Justice League. This is the prequel to the crossover that I'm not getting of Justice League and Aquaman, called Justice League the Drowning, or Aquaman the Drowning, or whatever. Yeah. I actually really liked the story, though. The setup of this, they're up in the Arctic. They're looking for this potential key that unlocks the graveyard of the gods that Poseidon maybe drops someplace they're looking for. They reference Orion, the magical, like, superhero from way back in the day when Atlantis was still above water. And it is a Marvel comic that I really liked way back in the day when that character would show up and whatnot. I really dug. Not Marvel. DC's way back in the day when he would show up and stuff. I liked the miniseries with him in it and stuff like that. I like that character. So there's lots of cool. It's like, oh, hey, Scott Snyder did his homework and referenced some way back, canon and of old DC stuff and whatnot. So I'm actually kind of interested in this, but I won't be. I'm not. I neglected to pick up I didn't order the Aquaman issue, so I won't get it. The crossover. I'll be getting there's like 2 Justice League books that hook into this. There's 2 Aquaman books into this, and I think there's also a double titled book like the Wonder Woman, things.
Like so it's called The Drowning, yeah.
Right. So the era of we're not going to do crossovers that don't make sense, or we're not doing crossovers that go into a bunch of books, clearly is gone. And I think that's unfortunate. I mean, I think if you're going to tell these kinds of stories, just make them their own book, put them all in one place, and knock it off. I mean, I get the idea. Supposedly that's going to get me to buy extra books. It's not. I get the idea that maybe that makes me excited about Aquaman, so I'll start picking up Aquaman. It's not. I am going to start picking up Aquaman because Kelly Sue DeConnick's going to start writing it, and I'm curious to see what she's going to do with the character. But it has nothing to do with what Scott Snyder's doing right now with it. But this looked good as a Francis Manapul issue, so of course the art looks awesome in it. So that makes it enjoyable too. It had Firestorm in it. They put Firestorm in it, and they put Adam Strange in it, which is cool. So it's kind of getting back to like what I like about the classic cartoon, for instance, where we're going to keep adding some extra characters. So you got your main core of the Justice League, and we're going to put some extra people in it. This person's on monitor duty today, or it makes sense to have this character up there helping out. So Firestorm is hanging out with Aquaman and Wonder Woman up in the Arctic dealing with some stuff. And they have Adam Strange is hanging out with Superman and somebody else while Martian Manhunter and Hawkgirl and John Stewart Green Lantern are headed out past Thanagaria to explore some stuff. One thing that I rolled my eyes at, and I'm like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. At one point, Batman is trying to crack into Starman, right? And they found this Starman. He has some knowledge in his head. They're trying to get to that knowledge while this guy's in a coma. They pull out a Jarro. Batman goes, I've been using Jarro, and there's here's Jarro. That's Jarro. There's a little asterisk by his name, and the asterisk says, Starro in a jar. They have a little small Starro in a jar, and they use that to telepathically crack people's heads. Jarro.
Yeah.
Seriously? Oh my gosh. Anyway.
You're not going to pick up the Jarro miniseries then that's coming out next
I
year?
would. If there was a Jarro miniseries, I would pick it up. I love Starro. I love Starro storylines. I think they're ridiculous and lots of fun. But anyway, so yeah. So elder gods from other worlds across the universe that are from aquatic planets are invading Earth, and they are going to literally drown the Earth in this cosmic ocean wave and take over the Earth. And and Aquaman has to stop it. So is the premise. It was cool. It was a cool issue, but I'm not going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other comics to get the storyline. So because it is entitled it is Justice League issue 10, this one, just Aquaman 41, Titans 28, Part 1, Justice League Aquaman the Drowned Earth number 1, and then in November it is Part 2 Justice League number 11, Part 3 Justice League number 12, tie-in Aquaman number 42, and Part 4 Aquaman Justice League Drowned Earth number 1. So dumb tie-ins and other whatevers. I don't know. But anyway,
yeah.
So it was cool, briefly cool, but wow.
All right.
And that's it. That's it. I only had 3 DC books. The week was almost exclusively independent books. So, alrighty. I don't have any DC news per se.
Nope.
No. Alrighty. Well, thanks, Mike. Thanks for coming on. And I want to thank Damien again, of course, Sleepy Reader, for coming on for as long as he could. And Sarah, it was great to have Sarah back. I think it's been like 4 years since Sarah's been on the show. So it's fun to have Sarah back. Whatever happened to her, I guess, charging her phone or whatever that the case is. Always happy to have them here. Come back anytime. Any parting last words?
I got a screaming baby to take care of too, so I guess I got to go.
Okay. Well, good luck with that. And hey, hopefully I'll be back next week. Have a great one, everybody.